Hello. Good to see everybody again. Got a lot going on today. Lot to talk about. I was initially planning a whole show on AIM, the American Indian Movement, and doing like a kind of radical history thing. But I think I'll save that tomorrow because there was a lot of really interesting things that popped up. I'm going to start with something weird though, because I saw this and this is one of my least favorite people here, Kevin O'Leary. He's getting injected with, or no, he's having his blood drained and he is having it filtered and then injected back into him. And it's cleaner blood. And this kind of reminds me of the thing that Peter Thiel does where he like pays poor young teenagers to give him blood that he injects into himself. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty wild, these crazy things that these billionaires are doing to try to extend their lives. I wonder how much of it is actually going to work. And you know, let's take a look at this. It's the way that this video is pitched, it's like a commercial for it or something, but it's still, I find it creepy as hell.
I come here every time I come to Dubai. Anytime I come to the UAE, I make sure I take at least half a day to come here. The great thing about the procedure here is you can measure it almost immediately.
Is the audio working now? I had to fix something.
And how you feel. You start to feel really good, and it doesn't take a long time. Every time I come, I go through an EBO process, which is where they drain almost 4.5 liters of your blood through a dialysis process, clean it, ozonate it, oxygenate it, and then inject 50 billion exosomes, which go into your bloodstream, and for the next 4 months, reduce inflation. You feel like $1 million when you walk out of here. This is my fourth.
It's like just crazy. I don't know. It's like, and Peter Thiel definitely isn't that open about the blood boy thing. That's been that's kind of been leaked, I guess you could say. Let's take a look at this though, and then we'll get into the new Alex Pretti video. This is Jayden Scott. First, I'll give a refresher on him. This is the guy who was yelling, "We executed one of you yesterday," outside of one of the protests near the Whipple building. Let me see if I can find that. He's like one of the most unhinged counter protesters, I guess you could say, out there. You might recognize him from this photo, this video here, where he was shouting, and he was protected by ICE essentially, because anytime anybody tried to get him out of the area, he ended up saying, you know, I need backup, and then they came and helped him. So let's take a look. What's this here? With a sad heart, I announced my departure and formal resignation. Oh, I guess he was fired. Well, see, now he's even in more trouble because he apparently tracked down one of the activists, one of the anti-ICE activists, and went to their house and videotaped some weird threatening mobster kind of like thing. Like, look at this shit.
Your video, it was cute. However, the team of Punishers, we got your address. We know who you are. Watch your fucking mouth. You hear me? Watch your fucking mouth. Commies, stand down. We've broken your signal groups. We've hacked your sites. You dumb fuckers vibe coded out a site that should have been locked down. And Andrew, watch your fucking mouth, bitch boy. Wipe your paws off.
Misinformation comes with consequences.
He even said it in a mobster voice at the end there. Like, that shit is crazy. Yeah, this is Mercado, whoever runs Mercado Media, this is their house. And he says, I have my apartment management and local police involved. I will obviously have to move, so the more people that are aware of this, the situation, the better. Yeah, I'm sure he's in legal, because you can't do that. And that's a crazy ass thing to do. What an unhinged person. Ridiculous. Exactly. Like, what? Yeah, exactly. Why didn't he knock on the door if he's so tough? It's really crazy. Um, it's getting pretty twisted out there, and that guy definitely like felt safe to be doing that. So there's this new video of Alex Pretti the week before he was killed, and this was where they broke his ribs in the altercation. I'm not sure what happened before this, but there were a bunch of people. He did a 8 in live stream this morning. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't know what happened before this video, but there was definitely something going on between him and ICE agents. And then he kicked their car, and in like the luckiest kick ever, he popped the tail light out of the socket, and then they came running after him, and then they ended up breaking his ribs in the altercation, and then letting him go. So it's kind of weird. And now all of the Trump people are kind of trying to use this as a justification, which is ridiculous. It happened a week before, so that doesn't justify anything. And not to mention, he was probably pissed. They're terrorizing his community. They had just killed somebody, and who knows what had happened moments before this. If anything, it makes me think more highly of him. But who knows what would happen before this, and what they had done to get this dude this pissed off, because he doesn't seem like, you could tell from like the other things in his life that we'll get to in a minute, that we've seen some footage, but there's some new stuff. He's not like probably an aggressive guy regularly, but let's take a look.
News movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Pretti interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC.
That's a crazy shot right there.
Whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy.
Thing like that, he went out with a broken rib after they messed him up that bad, and he still went out to protect people. Like, that's badass.
Morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. We arrived around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground. During the altercation, agents fired tear gas and pepper balls into the crowd. They continued to hold the man down before they retreat, and he walks away. The man in our footage is wearing a similar outfit to what Pretti was wearing on the day he was killed. What appears to be a gun is also visible above his waistband.
He slipped away. See, look, they didn't even feel the need to arrest him in that moment. And now there's people trying to say that he should be killed for this.
Here, he continues to stand at the scene. On the day he was killed, the Department of Homeland Security claims Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, approached officers holding a handgun. That claim has been contradicted by analysis of bystander videos from multiple news investigations, which concluded that Pretti was holding a phone, not a gun, when he was pinned to the street.
Yeah, Trump really, really pissed off a lot of people with the guns comments on his side. Like, that's not what a dumbass. Like, there are people who are even probably would have been on board for defending him on this if he didn't like take it in that direction. And like, it makes you wonder what the hell was going on before this too.
Shortly after the altercation we filmed here on January 13th, federal agents drove away. Soon after that, we left the scene.
He was like way more reserved the next time, you know, like it's just crazy. And there's a lot of people who have been trying to use that as a justification, and they can't actually point to him doing anything illegal or that was justified. So they are just, you know, being like, "Oh, he was an activist, so that means he's a bad guy." That's really all they got at this point. And the other big story that we've been following this week is the ICE facility down there in Texas, where the 5-year-old boy is being held with a bunch of other children and a bunch of other people that are not getting adequate medical care when they need it. They're being not getting good food, even adequate food. It's like moldy and all sorts of horrible things like that. And yeah, it's probably worse than we can even imagine. And there are now we're protests outside of there today. So let's take a look at some of this.
Families are not allowed to leave their dorms today. They are not allowed to go outside. They're not allowed to go to the gym. And that is extremely unusual. I've never heard of that happening here before. And they're trying to prohibit the children inside from exercising their free speech right to protest their conditions of detention peacefully.
I've been texting with another attorney who has clients inside, and she tells me that the people inside, these families, are terrified right now, Chris, because of this lockdown. Apparently, they're not allowed to leave their pods or their rooms. I should mention that we've asked DHS and ICE repeatedly this morning about this lockdown and for more details about this lockdown, and we have not heard back.
The families are not allowed to leave their...
Yeah, and so there's a bunch of stuff going on the outside too as well, though. It got pretty intense out there.
To the detention facility, and authorities have been telling them for probably the better part of an hour to scoot back. And just a little while ago, a group of well, now it's starting to get tense. I'll let you watch this scene unfold here as we're kind of watching it unfold as well, but state troopers starting to push back. I saw some. Oh, there we go. Oh, that landed on top of a photographer's camera.
Wow.
And I could see the photographer jump back there. So they have. I see a number of troopers have taken a few people into custody down there on the ground, but the vast majority of them have been pushed back. All of this literally unfolding here as these troopers in the right here, the state troopers, were the ones that were brought in on a school bus just a short while ago, and then quickly.
So this is in Texas, so there's a lot more cooperation between the state and even the Minneapolis cops were still taking their side at the end of the day when, you know, push came to shove, but they are less likely to get involved. But here it's like they're gung ho.
Sent off those exploding smoke devices We're getting the crowd to break back. Some of the people over here can walk you this way, Brianna, and then you can kind of show you some of the people who were closest to the incendiary devices kind of going off, getting treated now, but that has pushed back some of the crowd here, just on the edge of this detention facility. And again, as I mentioned, all of this continuing to unfold as Joaquin Castro and his step inside the facility, going on 3.5 hours now. And again, we are waiting on an update as to what has been happening inside the facility and whether or not Joaquin Castro has been able to meet some of that smoke now starting to get.
That's a crazy one. There's some more footage over here. Let's see. Take a look at this. There's something good. Like, this place is not great. This is not good, to say the least. And I wonder why. Like, I think this is one of the hubs, but there's got to be a ton of other places like this. And I was seeing that it, there was footage in Baltimore that was released a couple days ago, but they're trying to put up new warehouses all over the country, and there has been a lot of resistance to it. So that is at least a little bit promising.
Yeah, pepper spray's not that bad. That was not bad at all.
See if there's any like articles on it, on the protest today. Anything else going on there? So we could get a sense on how things actually ended up and stuff. Let's take a look. Flanked by state and local leaders, U.S. Rep. Joaquin Castro, a San Antonio Democrat, and U.S. Rep. Jasmine Crockett, a Dallas Democrat, on Wednesday called for the immediate release of 5-year-old Liam Canojo Ramos and his father, Adrian Canojo Arias, whose arrests in Minneapolis suburb last week have become a flashpoint in furor over the Trump administration's deportation tactics. So, like, yeah, release that kid, but what about all the other people in there? You know what I mean? Like, I absolutely release the kid, but like, let's not limit it at that. Photos of federal authorities detaining the Ecuadorian child who was wearing a Spider-Man backpack and a pale blue oversized winter hat quickly went viral as some Americans saw it emblematic of the government's severe practices in Minnesota. They're really going over the top. Where immigration agents shot and killed 2 people this month. Liam and his father were flown to an immigration detention center about 70 miles south of San Antonio on Monday. A federal judge in Texas temporarily blocked their deportation. So they're talking about that situation, but like, I want to see about the dozens of detained immigrant families protested over the weekend, chanting "Libertad" and "Let us go," said Eric Lee, a Michigan immigration attorney who represents an Egyptian family at the facility that has been imprisoned for months. Yeah, they have not done anything wrong. Lee and other visitors were forced out of the facility, he said, describing the guards as white-faced about the uprising. Yeah, I remember seeing the video of that. He said the teenage daughter of his clients was separated from her mother and siblings after speaking out about the poor conditions there. Yeah, this is messed up. And then when the Department of Homeland Security was asked about it, they just said, everything is perfect there, of course, like they always did. She said families detained there have poor drinking water, food, and hygiene conditions and are forced to sleep with the lights on 24 hours a day. These people are many of which legal citizens, but even if they weren't, they would still be deserving of all these, things and not to be subjected to this kind of treatment. It's like, yeah, there is probably a money factor in there too, where they are probably making a lot of money on so many different levels from this. Since the Trump administration launched its mass deportation efforts, deaths of immigration and detention immigrants in detention have reached a new record. Yeah, they all have been getting flown to Texas. That makes sense. 1 in 4 ICE arrests from Trump's second inauguration through July 2025 occurred in Texas. The state also has the highest concentration of immigration detention facilities in the country. Yeah, like there's a flight tracker for these immigration planes, and all of them are always going to Texas. And you like when they first hit Minneapolis, there were planes flying from Minneapolis to Texas right away, like constantly, and they do that to make sure that they don't have access to attorneys and stuff, and it's easier for them to just get them out without them being able to have any kind of legal representation. It won't let me back in. It says I'm too weak to be blocked, whatever that means. What's that? Let's see. Well, none of those have. Let's see. Oh, yeah, yeah. Talking about the deaths. While none of those deaths have occurred in the Dilley detention center, Michelle Brain, who served as an immigration detention ombudsman under the Biden administration, said every family detention facility that any administration has tried to set up has been found to be inhumane, inappropriate for children, ineffective, incredibly costly, and in the end has been closed. Yeah, that is another thing. You cannot do this without treating people inhumanely or spending an incredible amount of money that they don't want to spend. So what ends up happening? They, lock children in prisons that don't even deserve it. And again, many of these people in here have been here legally, had paperwork to be here legally, but now their paperwork is in question because they're questioning everybody's paperwork. And while they're doing that, they're putting people in dungeons. The Trump administration said, she said, return to this practice after multiple courts, public opinion, medical experts, and everybody has, in essence, agreed that they're harmful and not effective. The scrutiny on the Dilley Detention Center comes after a violent month in Minnesota. Yeah, they're trying to pad the word count here. Yeah, I'm glad that there's some attention on this, because I was feeling like the actual facilities were really going under the radar when this is one of the worst human rights abuses that we have in this whole, of course, the whole process of them getting arrested brutally and all of this. But this detention situation, the length that they're there, the conditions that they're under, it's horrible. Yeah, I know. Whatever happened to Anonymous? Why aren't they cooking anymore? Whatever happened to that? I guess QAnon kind of killed that to some extent. We got some new leaks out from Ken Klippenstein too. There's 2 new articles from him today. One of them has ICE's secret watch list of Americans, and then another one has the internal strife at ICE, and like some of them are actually having regrets, it seems. I don't know how much hope that gives me, but still, it'll be interesting to check out. Let's take a look at this one first, though. We've broken a lot of major stories about ICE. Okay, that's a ad. We have a nice little database. Yeah, that was the quote from that guy that Department of Homeland Security spokesman response was firm. There is no database of domestic terrorists run by DHS. There's just one problem. She's lying. Two senior national security officials tell me that there are more than a dozen secret and obscure watch lists that Homeland Security and the FBI are using to track protesters, both anti-ICE and pro-Palestinian, Antifa, and others who are promiscuously labeled domestic terrorists. I can reveal for the first time that some of the secret lists and applications go by code names like Blue Key, Grapevine, Hummingbird, Reaper, Sandcastle, Sienna, Slipstream, and Sparta, of course, including the ominous sounding Hell A, Hell C reports generated by Sparta. I'm not sure what that is. Some of these, like Hummingbird, were created to vet and track immigrants, in this case, Afghans seeking to settle in the United States. Slipstream is a classified social media repository. Others are tools to link people on the streets together, including collecting on friends and family who have nothing to do with any purported lawbreaking. There's practically nothing available that further describes what these watch lists do, how large they are, or what they entail. Yeah, this sounds like some new COINTELPRO type shit for sure. I wasn't even seeing him. I wasn't seeing the comments. I see all yours though. Oh shit. Here we go. I got the thing up now. There's practically nothing available that further describes what these watch lists do, how large they are, or what they entail. We came out of 9/11 with the notion that we would have a single terrorist watch list to eliminate confusion, duplication, and avoid bad communication. But ever since January 6th, not only have we expanded exponentially into purely domestic watch listing, but we have also created a highly secretive and compartmented superstructure that few even understand, says a DHS attorney intimately familiar with the subject. What? So, January 6th, they expanded their capabilities of the agency to look inward domestically because of January 6th. And now that's all being focused on anti-war activists, Antifa, and pro-immigration or anti-deportation activists, I guess you could say. You know, that's crazy. This is his Substack. Yeah. It was a link to his Substack that he posted on Twitter, or X, as they call it. Prior to 9/11, there were 9 federal agencies that maintained 12 separate watch lists. Now, officially, there are just 3, a watch list of 1.1 million international people and a watch list of more than 1,000 domestic terrorists maintained by the FBI, and a new watch list of transnational criminals, built up more than over 85,000 over the past decade. So, yeah, like there's a large number of these people who are just on here because they posted something crazy on the internet one day. The domestic related watch list, a set of databases and applications, exist inside and outside the FBI and are used by agencies like ICE and the Border Patrol to organize the Niagara of information in possession of the federal government. Yeah, and you could probably get put on these just for filming. It seems to be what the situation is. Collectively, they create ways to sort, analyze, and search information, a task that even artificial intelligence has failed to conquer. Among other functions, the new watch list processes tips, situation reports, and collected photographs and videos submitted by both public and from agents in the field. So yeah, just being at a protest probably will get you on this. It's insane. Let's see here. 1 second. Administration officials have alluded to all of this, though contrary to the Hollywood idea that's of some all-seeing eye, Actual government watch lists are more like a patchwork system of lists and applications, each of which might have individual justification or even legitimate purpose to aid law enforcement, but overall form the basis for massive violations of American civil rights. And this has definitely been developing since 9/11 for sure, because that was one of their big complaints after that happened, or that was one of their excuses for not seeing all the warning signs and not doing anything about it that, you know, they should have, because we all found out that they had a bunch of those people were on their radar essentially, and they should have known about it. They should have done something. But the reason why they said they didn't was because, all of these different police departments and government agencies don't talk to each other. So we need to talk to each other more, and we need to be more centralized, which is, you know, they started with the Patriot Act, the Department of Homeland Security, and it's grown into this insane surveillance state that we know about today. Other than function, okay, yeah, let's see. Administration officials have alluded to this. Oh no, I got that. One thing I'm pushing for right now, we're going to create a database where these people that are arrested for interference, impeding, and assault, we're going to make them famous, Tom Homan said. Let me see if there's anything else in here that's about the impeding. Let's take a look at this other leak he had today, because this is kind of ice unloads. That's the one. Let me check on the chat real quick. Yeah. I still always call it Twitter. Let's see. Immigration officers speak out. Fuck this. Hopefully, but I don't know. Like that's what I'm saying. I mean, so many of them are still going to be chuds. They just don't like being yelled at, and they thought that they were going to be treated like heroes, probably some of them, because they probably lived extremely sheltered lives where they, only knew what they saw on 4chan in their echo chamber, and they didn't realize that like this would be a super unpopular thing. Let's take a look here. I've listened to the stories and the best they can do is shoot the guy in the back. That's not the voice of some liberal commentator. That's what a Homeland Security officer told me this weekend. One of over half a dozen who have reached out to express their alarm over the killing of Alex Pretti in Minneapolis and beyond. So apparently there's some kind of schism between the people who've been on the job for a long time and the newer recruits that are coming in. But at the same time, I'm kind of hesitant to that idea as well, because the guy that shot Renee Good was on the job for like 10 years. So, I don't know how much, I'm sure that there are some old heads that are like that actually. Because when I went to Canada, I drove earlier this year, and when I drove back, they had to, search the car and everything. And there was one particular lane that was going a lot faster than the other ones in that area. So I got into that lane and I was going like right through. It was like 5 minutes a car or something like that. And everybody else was taking like 20 minutes. And this was after Trump, like after he was in office and the border patrol was under his control for a few months and stuff like that. So when we got up to the thing, I was like, because you have to talk to him for a couple minutes and be chill and stuff. So I was like, what's going on with the other lines? Why is this one so fast? And it was kind of, I think he was probably my age, but older than the other people there. You know what I mean? And he was like, he looked over at him and he's like, these new guys, they're such a pain in the ass. He's like, they're running through they're tearing everybody's car apart for no reason. And then he just like looked at my passport and he's like, what were you doing here? And he's like, all right, like have a good one. So there may be somewhat of a attitude difference between the old heads and the people who are being recruited by Nazi memes on Twitter. But they're still all they're still all cops, you know what I mean? And they're even super cops, which is even worse. But I do think that there is definitely some truth to these younger guys being even more gung-ho, and like, you know, making it harder for the other ones to crack skulls and get away with it, essentially, you know? Yeah, they want us to be total peasants. I've listened to the stories and the beefs of immigration officers in Minneapolis across the country, and to a person, they all blame the shooter, one on one of their own. Oh, and to okay, yeah. The major media is stuck on framing the killing of Alex Pretti as some national and partisan battle, highlighting Republicans breaking ranks, the NRA protesting, MAGA wavering, and Chuck Schumer doing whatever he's doing. But no one is really capturing what the federal law enforcers on the ground are thinking. The truth is that they're fed up, and they have been for weeks. Yeah, like Ken Klippenstein, in addition to getting good leaks, he's also a good writer for sure. They paint a picture that is more Police Academy or even Reno 911 than a Gestapo on the march. Yes, they agree that Washington is a huge problem and are uncomfortable with the mission creep that is taking them away from actual immigration enforcement. But internally, theirs is also a story of gung-ho 19-year-olds, drunken stakeouts, and senior officers disappearing into meetings and all of a sudden needing time off. I watched a video earlier today where these ICE agents were being protested at a hotel, and they were up in one of the top windows, and they all had beers in their hands, and the one guy like mooned the crowd, like showed his ass, and they all laughed and flipped him off and stuff. And it's like, y'all are just like frat boys out here partying. And then there's the one guy that ended up having a seizure in the truck with the woman that had to save his life. And I really do suspect that that he is not an epileptic, and he just did a little bit too much meth that day. I really do believe that, because I've seen it happen before, and that was just my initial intuition. I remember back working in the clubs, that was always the situation. If somebody had a seizure, like 9 times out of 10, it was a meth situation. They were also frustrated with the narrative unfolding about the information war being waged from Washington, including the flamboyant defense of the shooting and other controversial moves on the ground. See, what I don't understand is, like, how are they all mad at each other for doing the same shit? You know what I mean? Like, how they're all doing the same shit. As much as I support this administration, there needs to be more common sense in situations like this, not a knee-jerk damage control narrative that does not line up with the evidence on video, one Border Patrol agent said in a private group chat. This individual was shot 8 to 9 times while unarmed. We can't always support what happens just because it's one of us. I mean, that's the thin blue line. That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Overall, as someone, oh wait, sorry. An ICE agent was even more critical. Yet another justified fatal shooting, 10 versus 1, and somehow they couldn't find a way to subdue the guy or use a less than lethal. They all carry belts and vests with 9,000 pieces of equipment on them, and the best they can do is shoot the guy in the back. And that was an ICE agent that said that. But what I'm saying, I think that these guys are like, what do they call it? Armchair quarterbacking or whatever, where they think that they would be better in that situation, but they probably wouldn't. I think that's what's happening with this. Overall, as someone who has been covering this for months, I am struck by how angry Homeland Security officers are with their own agencies and their blunt dismissal of the Washington leadership. I apologize. All the immigration officers I interviewed for this story spoke on the condition of anonymity. Sagging morale and declining standards are a constant theme I picked up. Problems that these sources say have been festering long before the deaths of Pretti and Renee Good, and ones that very much contributed to these outcomes. More than one ICE agent in particular complained about how Washington's focus on labeling protesters as impeding federal functions and thus breaking the law, and the vilification of Antifa and others labeled paid agitators, leftist, radicals, extremists, and terrorists, is confusing the ranks while also distracting everyone from the immigration enforcement mission. I go on and on, but overall, it's been a ridiculous experience. Yeah, it does seem like more and more their targets are like leftists, basically. I mean, of course, they're still going after anybody who's brown as well. You know, he says that many agents on the ground are just going along with the expanded mission because they are more interested in their away from home per diem and collecting overtime than what the mission is. Of course. Yeah. And that's probably a big part of it too, is like this, poverty draft situation, even though I don't believe in that excuse. If you're that poor, you sell drugs or do something noble. You know what I mean? You don't go and lock up your neighbors. I'm sorry. Others express the cynicism typical of everyone who toils at the bottom of every bureaucratic food chain, poo-pooing rapid expansion of the ICE army and shaking their heads over ridiculous budget increases being fought for in Washington that will have no impact on where they work. The brand new agents are idiots, an experienced ICE agent assigned to Homeland Security investigations told me. The same sentiment was echoed by virtually everyone I talked to, with several conveying the view that Pretty's death was the fault of some skittish young recruit who panicked when he heard the word gun, if that's what happened. Even one of the new ICE recruits agreed with the experienced agent's low assessment of Trump's freshman class. A lot of guys, he said, referring to the new ICE agent recruits that he worked alongside, are honestly pretty sketchy. Oh, yeah, that's Sarah Elizabeth. I remember her. I was a friend of hers. She came to Free Your Mind conference a couple times, and she lived locally here in Baltimore for a while. And also at Porkfest, her crew was like camped right next to me. That was, yeah, you're right about that. Damn. Yeah, it's just checking up on the chat here. What? Okay, cool. Yeah, the new ICE officer continued. I thought federal agents were supposed to be clean cut, but some of them pass around a flask as we are watching a suspect, observing as well that the new guys have some weird tattoos. Yeah, like the Nazi tattoos probably is what he's talking about. Let's see. Those tattoos, I'm told, are symbolic of the fact that new recruits tend to be more ideologically motivated than those of the past. This problem is compounded by the fact raised by several officers that ICE is relying on volunteers to go to Minneapolis and other Democratic cities on these temporary deployments. This tends to favor new recruits and those who are chasing overtime pay, and people who just want to crack skulls. Like we saw, like there have been people who just drive by doing pepper spray on peaceful protesters. It's unclear how these task forces are organized in cities like Minneapolis or incited indeed who is in charge or in control. But those who I interviewed agree that the tide is turning, that some agencies, like the FBI, are increasingly no-shows in the field, and others are expressing a reluctance to participate in non-immigration missions. Yeah, apparently the two cops that have shot him have now been put on leave. So that is definitely a big change in in policy, I'd say, because usually they're just getting them out and not even doing nothing about it. I'm not sure if there'll be a legitimate investigation, though. I highly doubt it. FBI didn't want to help us out much anymore, especially in Minneapolis, due to the bad press. And that's Cash Patel. Another branch of ICE, enforcement and removal operations, is being squeezed heavily to serve on the streets against protesters, the officer says, adding that lots of guys are totally exhausted out there with lots of pressure on them to conduct non-immigration missions. Yeah, I mean, like the protests seem to be working because they cannot sustain this. Despite the bravado of uncompromising operations and the absolute support of Washington expressed for the shooters, there are signs that the Trump administration is growing worried about the public and bipartisan backlash. President Trump today posted an unusually conciliatory statement on Truth Social, saying, this was when he said, you know, Tim Walz had a good call with him and stuff. And even Stephen Miller has come out and said, yeah, that's what said that there may have been mistakes made. And there's a lot of people, like, I've seen a lot of bots online trying to spin the most recent video saying that, like, he's a domestic terrorist. And even many people on their side are like, nah, dude, this was a week ago. It doesn't change anything about what happened, except for the fact that it does raise more suspicions that maybe he was targeted. Maybe they already didn't like the looks of him from last week and they were more trigger happy as a result. That's the only place that leads my mind to that video, aside from the fact that he's awesome. Several agents describe receiving briefings about retaliatory threats to ICE. So yeah, they're worried about that too. Yeah, I mean, the worse morale gets at ICE, the better it'll be for society, for sure. Yeah, I know there's only a few people that come out to counter protest, and they're all like ICE rejects, probably. Yeah, they haven't put out the people's names, so it is why would we trust they're on leave is a damn good question. Yeah, the National Guard handing out donuts and coffee was definitely a PR thing, and some have even said that it was an insurgency tactic, which is even more disturbing because then it's like, you know, we're just buttering you up so we could keep you under the boot kind of deal. Yeah, I don't think that the politicians there in Minneapolis or Minnesota are standing up enough, really. You know, they're using profanity on the press conferences and stuff, but they aren't going far enough, I don't think. I think they should really, really be trying to push them out of the city. You know, it's crazy. So yeah, let's get to this story that I put in the headline, because the United States military is just screwing with everybody. So first we'll watch the video.
In the middle of the night.
I have an article that kind of explains a little bit more, but I came across this and I was like, what the hell is going on? Why did the United States government kidnap 2 people from Scotland? And now they're talking about closing military bases there and stuff, kicking the American military out.
2 people have been abducted from Scotland in the middle of the night by the US military, despite our highest court ordering that they be kept here under our jurisdiction. The First Minister has spent months trying to charm Donald Trump. This strategy has failed. He's not our ally. He is a fascist. Our sovereignty has been violated. Our courts have been defied. And a foreign military has abducted 2 people from our territory. The Scottish and UK governments need to respond to this. The US military uses Prestwick Airport as a de facto base. That airport is owned by the Scottish government. Will the First Minister show Trump that his piracy has consequences? Will he evict all American troops from Prestwick Airport immediately?
First Minister.
President Officer, I understand the strength of feeling on this issue, and that's why I've come to Parliament to give this statement, because it is so important that I'm clear with Parliament and with the public that in every respect, the proper application of the legal processes of Scotland have been applied in this case. Now, what the Scottish Government cannot do, what the Lord Advocate cannot do, is cannot exercise powers we do not have. So I made a point in my statement that at no stage did we have the legal basis to board that vessel. And that limits what the Scottish Government can do, but what it indicates and what we have indicated is that where individuals have to, there's to be any question of interaction with the legal process, those individuals have to be able to exercise their rights in the Scottish jurisdiction, which of course, as Mr Greer knows, will involve ECHR rights as well. So all of these factors. I want to assure Mr Greer that all of these factors and powers have been properly and fully applied by the Lord Advocate. Now, in relation to his points in connection with Prestwick Airport, Prestwick Airport operates at arm's length from the government. It has particular responsibilities to exercise, and we will consider the issues that are raised by Mr Greer in his question.
Two people have been
Oh shit. Oh shit. I did do that. I lost like 15 people for that. I'm a dumbass. Thank you. What the hell? Yeah, I muted the cough and then I did that. Uh so how damn, I muted myself a long time ago. You all are the real ones for staying on. What was the pro tip? What was the pro tip? After each paragraph, you should. What do you mean by down? I have to skip to another window. So I mean, I could do that, but yeah, I could skip to another window, but it's like it's in a different tab than my thing. I brought down my laptop to look at over here, and the type was too small. I Yeah, that's a good idea on my phone, yeah, yeah. What a dumbass move. So you probably missed, like, both articles, didn't you? So, well, luckily, the first article was nonsense, didn't make no sense, and it didn't explain anything, and then I got to this Reuters article, which explained that the tanker was seized for trading with Venezuela. And that is why we have kidnapped 2 people from Scotland. Yeah, hey, I'm new to streaming. I'm working it out. I really appreciate your patience. Yeah, I actually that's a good idea. I could get another monitor. Um Yeah, no, I definitely I gotta figure something out with that because it is because a lot of times I'm reading something, you know what I mean? Like if we're watching a video, I could come over here and watch, but yeah, yeah, it's y'all are helping me improve here. So it's a teaching hospital here. So yeah, they captured this tanker. These 2 Scottish people are on there. They weren't committing a crime. They just happened to be on a vessel that Venezuelan oil was on. And this is like kind of an act of war. If this happened to an American, to 2 Americans that were captured by a foreign country, this would be a massive scandal. Um, they're not Scottish citizens? I thought that that's what it said. Oh, he's a Georgian. Why was he saying they were Scottish citizens? A British government spokesperson said at the request of U.S. authorities, crew members have been allowed to disembark. That Greer guy said that they were citizens, right? Or maybe it was. Let's see. Oh, so they were kidnapped from Scotland's jurisdiction. That makes sense. Okay. So the one guy was a Georgian and they were supposed to be held by Scotland. And then they were kidnapped by the US. Which is thank you. I appreciate that, Perry. Thanks for correcting me on that cuz I was really getting confused by how everything was worded and being described. Um Yeah, exactly. When Iran did this, he gave him 24 hours, but it makes sense if it's not one of our citizens, it makes sense why it's not more of a scandal. I kept my audio meter on top so I could see. Also, you can pop out YouTube chat. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna mess with that tomorrow during the day, because that definitely needs to get improved. There were some other. Did y'all see the Erica Kirk stuff that came out today? There were two big ones. One with her a couple days after his death, like really cheery and stuff, which, you know, I mean, some people do grieve in very, oh, he just gave Iran notice. Oh no. What is going on? This is not, you can't be attacking 6 different countries at the same time. It just doesn't work out like that. No, I'm not on OBS. I'm on StreamYard. Because I couldn't figure out OBS. Or I mean, I could figure out OBS, but it was just a lot of steps. And StreamYard like kind of simplifies it. So yeah, this is a Zoom call that she had. Oh, it's 8 minutes long. Oh.
Sorry, this is a little bit more informal than probably Charlie would be reacting. How sweet.
Doesn't anybody post the highlights? I'm gonna check for the highlights. Cause that's an 8-minute long video of, because I remember when we had to listen to her on the submission for the reality show. Why isn't it the no new recording? I'll have to go back and listen to it. All right. We'll go for it.
Oh, look at all the thumbs up. Look how cute that is. Sorry, this is a little bit more informal than probably Charlie would be reacting. That you loved listening to his show.
Still here with the Turning Point USA family, because that's what we want. And like I said to our small group after whatever day that was, and I did the thing on TV, how many days are still rounded Friday. I told the team, I said, Turning Point USA will continue like my husband always wanted, and it'll be bigger than ever. And we're going to honor him by doing that. We're going to stay humble. We're going to work hard because that's what he would want. And we're going to just make it grow. And we're going to keep our eyes fixed on heaven. And, you know, like even Stacey said,
I feel like the religious thing's an act for her. Like some people, you know, they're genuine about it and you can tell. And then like some people, it's like they have a belief that is positive for them and that they have a positive perspective of it. And it's like, you know, some of the people that like they're super anti-war and stuff, you know, I can get down with them, but you can tell when somebody is faking it. I think she's faking it.
He's gonna find ways to speak to us, and he's gonna speak to you in different ways. Every person's gonna be different, but you'll get little moments where you're like, okay, Charlie, I see you. It might be here on campus. It might be in the quiet moments of the night, but he's here and he's more alive than ever. And he is, he's gonna guide.
Yeah, the replica tent that he got shot under that people were taking their selfies in at Turning Point Conference was one of the sickest things I've ever seen.
It does. And we just have to remain humble. But again, what I told the team was, I will fight like hell to make sure that all of you have a job here. I don't want anyone to think their job's in jeopardy, because your family, if you choose to leave, that's different. I never will, and I promise you, I will make sure that I never allow a point to where you have to leave because you cannot financially afford to.
So that's interesting for her to say that, you know, we'll take care of you financially, and now we're seeing videos come out of all these people who are getting fired with no severance.
That is a promise. I want our family to stay together the best it can. Obviously, circumstances, you know, there's unforeseen things that might pop up here and there that we can't foresee in the future, but for right now, the way things are, I would like to remain if they are status quo, and I think that's the best thing to do. And everything else we can worry about later. But I just want to let you know that you guys are all very loved. I'm very proud of you. Like Charlie would be. I mean, I think Charlie's just. I'm trying not to say that he would be. He's obviously celebrating in heaven amongst so many things, but he's so proud of all of you, and he's so proud of all of you for keeping this mission alive.
He's so proud of you from heaven. Like yeah, it's definitely an act. And yet the drag queen was awesome. That was such an awesome awesome job there.
And he knows that you can do it. That's why you're hired. And he knows that you will be able to carry the torch, and he knows that you're going to do a great job. And you're going to be able to, even though days are going to be tough, honestly, the nights are the hardest. Mornings are pretty raw too. But once you're just, what I've noticed these past several days is if I didn't have the family, the Turning Point USA family with me, all of you, I would be a disaster. I mean, I would be in fetal position 24/7. But the fact that we have a continued mission to look forward to, and we have our family, that's everything. And some of you, this is your chosen family. And just rely and lean on each other. That's huge. Leaning on each other is huge because all of you were together prior to this and will be together after this. And we.
You know what? The narcissists are running everything. That just flashed something in my head of why, like, the people that have no scruples whatsoever, if that's the right word, they just want the power. They don't care about the impact that it has on anybody else. They just want to attain that power. They always end up getting in those positions. Like, no matter, there are rare times where truly, genuinely great people or talented people can break through and get into positions of leadership and power and stuff like that. But is more often than not the most brutal, cutthroat, fake people. And maybe I just sound jaded and bitter from my own business experiences, but like that's just been what I've witnessed. Even when you like look around, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at the people who dominate the trending section these days.
Everything, and I told Justin it's going to be something where everything before September 10th, any email you were working on, any project you were working on, it's not that it's irrelevant now. It's just things have changed, obviously. And the mission has gotten deeper, and the mission will grow deeper. But like, I just want all of you to know, we will be wise stewards. We will be vigilant. We will be humble. And I just want you to know that, again, I'm with you. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And we're going to make sure that we honor my husband so well that this whole world knows what his vision was and will be. And that's the thing. And it is, and that's why we have to stay humble. But that's the thing. And it is, and that's why we have to stay humble. But I just want you guys to stay in prayer. And if you guys do need anything, please reach out to whoever you know to reach out to, and pray with one another. Be there with one another. Be soft with one another. Everyone grieves differently. So, and if there's anything or anyone who tries to,
and she was faking the tear thing. She got caught with that.
Again, the fact that I'm the other person. Okay, I love you all.
So then there was this other one where apparently some politician told Steve Bannon, or no, AZ RNC committee woman Liz Harris claims TPUSA is controlled by Mossad. Harris also names Alex Jones and Steve Bannon as being Mossad assets. This is pretty crazy. We got to look up who Liz Harris is in a minute. The name sounds familiar, but I'm not too sure who it is.
The other very delicate thing we have going on is all this stuff with Israel. Now, Thaler is Jewish. Breger is Jewish. Like, when I say Jewish, I mean, like, not, they're very Jewish, meaning very, Bev Goldstein, like, there's so many names I can throw out that I do believe when we look at Turning Point and we look at all of this, I do see Mossad. I see.
And like, she could just be somebody entirely unhinged. I don't know who she is, but I said because she's an RNC committee woman, it seems like her comments are there's newsworthy.
There's so many other things where I'm connecting dots. I think Alex Jones is controlled by them. Charlie Kirk's controlled by them. Steve Bannon. I can't believe nobody's killed me. I really can't. I have no idea why.
Because God is protecting right now. There's a lot of people that are surprised or not.
All these people are like, let's see who she is. Arizona Republican legislator has been expelled from the State House of Representatives for inviting a witness to present false charges about lawmakers and other state officials. Bipartisan 2/3 majority of the GOP-led House voted Wednesday to kick out Liz Harris. How long ago was this? 2023? She might have gotten back in with Trump, I guess. Just trying to look for some. I guess we'll take a look at her. I don't recognize her. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like she's just kind of a Trump person, but that's funny that she's saying that's kind of funny that she's saying that stuff. I mean, I definitely think that there was some Israeli involvement with Turning Point USA. I'm not sure if it was Mossad or if it was just like the donor situation through Prager, through the Prager guy. Because I know I've been seeing a lot about that, and I didn't even realize, Prager's involvement with Turning Point. But apparently that went pretty deep. Let's see. Yeah. Checking up on chat here. Yeah, no, all donations and advertisements and all like not advertisements, but when you see advertisements from like big ass banks that nobody goes to, or or Boeing, or Raytheon. I don't think they have Raytheon commercials, but they definitely have Boeing commercials, and they definitely have and like, who is buying products from them? That nobody's buying products from them. It's basically like a bribe. And I feel like that's half of the reason why there's so many like pharmaceutical commercials and stuff. Like, of course they want you to ask your doctor about that shit, but most likely yeah. But that's, Tucker Carlson, Tim Pool, and Candace Owens work for yeah, I mean, that's been proven for sure. Kirk, Shapiro, and Rubin all work for Israel, so that's where the tensions lie in the right-wing influencers. That makes sense. That definitely is a good analysis there. Kubrick said stay away from any pack. Yeah, Kubrick, he was the one who did Eyes Wide Shut, and there was all this crazy stuff about it where they tried to stop him and they died right after, right? That's the same guy I'm thinking of, right? I get all the directors mixed up all the time. But that was another crazy situation. I think let me take a look and see anything else popping. Because every night, like, I have gotten off, and as soon as I have ended the stream, I like saw something crazy. But yeah, just it looks like a lot of people posting about the Alex Pretti situation. Well, yeah, I guess that's it then. I appreciate you chilling, especially through me fumbling my way through a muted article and probably a bunch of commentary in the middle of that. What a mess. What a mess. Yeah, I'll you guys are awesome. Patient as hell. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, the LRAD countermeasures. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. Yes, that was Kubrick, and people. Oh yeah, I've heard that about them editing the final cut. Ben Jordan LRAD. We'll take a look. Yeah, I remember I posted the LRAD video last night of them. This. Yep, I got it. Let's see.
Great news for you. Law enforcement in Minnesota are using sonic weapons against protesters and civilians. That's awesome, right? That's sarcasm in case you didn't detect that. I've done plenty of long-form videos about this on YouTube, but for those of you who might be suffering from TikTok brain, here's what you need to know. LRADs, or long-range acoustic devices, are marketed to law enforcement agencies as safe solutions for crowd control. But the problem is they are very much not safe. They generally combine high-pitched audible frequencies with inaudible ultrasonic frequencies with the goal of making things just unpleasant enough for you to want to run away. They're not really capable of causing organ damage or putting thoughts in your head or making you shit your pants, but they can cause hearing loss or headaches, and in some extreme cases, vestibular problems in your inner ear, which would give you dizziness or vertigo. But in my opinion, the most reckless and dangerous thing that LRADs can do is make a bunch of people in a confined area disperse rapidly, which is a great way to dive via trample. Okay, so you're wondering, how do I protect myself from this? Well, earplugs don't work that well because they're not designed to handle high frequencies like this at this type of amplitude. But I subjected myself to some of these weapons in 2020, and I found a pretty cool hack. If you happen to live near a dollar store, a poster like this that has a large size, a glossy side, and relatively thin paper works extremely well at this. If you put the poster board between your head and the LRAD device, the sound waves will either be reflected off of the glossy side or they will be absorbed by the paper itself. And this is really good news because poster boards are already part of the protester starter kit. Another thing that you could do that would be really helpful to yourself and those around you is if you have a decibel meter, or if you have about $30 to spend on one, you could simply hold it up while an LRAD is being used and get video footage of the readout. That could end up being very useful to you and your fellow protesters should you decide to sue the police department for giving you permanent hearing damage. Anyway, please stay safe and do not trample your fellow protesters.
Yeah, that's a really good tip there. That's definitely a good one. And it's crazy that it's something that you're already bringing to the protest. That's just perfect. Yeah, I want to look more into Stanley Kubrick because when I was a kid, Ben is awesome. 404 Media, I love that page. But yeah, I want to look into the Kubrick thing because I haven't seen the uh, I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, and I haven't really researched the situation that much either. What I'm not sure what kind of LRAD Ice used the other night. That's a good question, though. What would go so viral? F bombs. Yeah, things definitely getting crazy. I don't know. It's hard to tell what direction it's going to go in because of the fact that there's so much fake out type shit that's been done in the past, and there's a good chance that that'll happen again, where it seems like they'll back off and then they don't. Yeah, the filming the decibels is definitely a good tip because you gotta sue. But yeah, I gotta let's see here. Oh, I forgot to share the Discord link. If you are not in the Discord yet, there is the Discord link. Let me pin it. The Discord link. So yeah, that's where we're starting a community, and you can help me out with figuring out what to put on the streams. You could suggest articles or just talk about whatever is going on. We could do some research in there too. It's just really getting started up, and we're just kind of like right now figuring out what pages are going to be in there and how it's going to roll. And it's free and open for everybody. If the page gets big, I might lock it behind a Patreon or something like that. But I don't want to like push anything like that right now. I just want to you know, have a place for people to gather and chill. And if I do lock it, then you're still in. Like you won't have to pay for it or anything. So everybody who is in on the early stages gets to stay for free. Research by decade. Yeah, I think that would be cool too, because that when I was going through the 70s, I realized that there have been these like ebb and flows of like oh yeah, no, that's true. I want to save all the Epstein stuff for like pile it in the same day. You know what I mean? But yeah, I that stuff that you sent me earlier, that was mind blowing and really made me think about some things. But yeah, I think it made me realize that there are these time periods throughout U.S. history where there has been like on the verge of a civil war, and a lot of it was actually around the actual Civil War, like the time of Reconstruction in particular, and also the time immediately after the Revolutionary War, because there were like 4 different farmers' rebellions over paying taxes, and that was like a foundational thing, because they were like, you're another aristocracy, and we just fought the British, and now you're pulling the same shit. And then they ended up losing, and that decided that. And then the Reconstruction was this time period after slavery where it was supposed to be healing the country and bringing it into a sustainable place, but in reality, there were just a lot of forces that tried to keep whatever current system comes out after slavery to be as close to slavery as possible. And that was kind of, there was a lot of strife about that during the Reconstruction. And then all through the Gilded Age, you know, right before the Great Depression, there were massive labor protests, you know, anarchists, communists in very, very large numbers compared to what we have today. And there was shootouts between the union workers and Rockefeller private security, like wild shit. And it's not really looked at. It's not described. Like even the situation I'll probably talk about tomorrow, the American Indian movement. No, that really isn't taught in American schools and stuff like that. And you know, occasionally on an anniversary or something like that, you'll see something on television about it. But you know, they don't want people to know that there have been recent struggles in this country for Native American rights, because they want people to think that the crimes against the natives were long time ago. It's ancestors, and anybody who's upset about it now is just, you know, can't get over the past, when in reality there's still a genocide taking place. It is at the, you know, and there are still massive forces that you know, oppress these communities, whether it's taking their land to drill it for oil, or whatever, or sending police and ICE agents in there to lock them up. So, but yeah, they don't want people to. I'm frozen on my own page here. Yeah, they don't want people to realize that this was in recent memory and it's still a part of our culture, that there are these people that have survived a genocide over the past 200 years, and there are still injustices that they face. And I have some good material lined up for tomorrow for that. So definitely tune in tomorrow for that. I think we're just gonna do the history thing tomorrow, and unless there's a major current event kind of situation, but even if there is, I'll double up and do I'll do both of them. Yeah, the amount of missing Native people is harrowing, and almost no one talks about it. Yeah, and they greatly undercount the amount of natives that were allegedly here when the country was discovered. When they describe it, a lot of times they make it seem like it was this kind of a few people living in the trees here and there, not the fact that they had massive civilizations in this country. So it is crazy. The numbers are probably hard to imagine, and I don't even think there's any kind of accurate count. Yeah, thanks for joining me, y'all. I always appreciate hanging with you after the topics. This free form conversation is always like my favorite part of this. So, all right, y'all. Well, I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.